Hello, my evil minions, and welcome to another episode of Mad Science. I'm your host, Mathias Malpractice, and today I will be discussing my attempts to get some undergrad research in some labs. Now, I've been looking around a lot of labs, and I've been excitedly telling people about these labs, only to have my friend Abigail shoot me down and tell me that's completely hopeless because they don't want freshmen. Well, screw you, I'm finding a lab. So, I have a whole list of labs I went to. So the first one I went to was a bug lab. And it's kind of far off campus. It's like a 20-minute walk. And I got there and it was like, wow, you can tell that it's off campus because the OSHA violations are very violating to me personally, especially to my nostrils. The place smelled terrible, like trash. Like, I know it's built on a trash heap, but it doesn't have to smell like trash. Like, guys, like, deodorant exists. And basically you got a whole lot of different bug related projects. Like, one guy is making a giant mutagenic cockroach that talks. It doesn't talk yet, just goes it's real funky. It's unnerving, and I don't know why you'd give a cockroach a brain, because of all the animals in the world that could take over the world. I think cockroaches just gross people out. It could eat people though. I think they did tell me I tried to eat someone once, but I think they took out its teeth, so I can't do it anymore, which I don't know why would you take out the teeth of a giant mutagenic cockroach that's eating people. I think you should just release it with the teeth and just let it wreak havoc, but that's not the point. Another guy is trying to engineer locusts to eat all monocultural lawns in like a 10-mile radius. And I think this is a great idea because I hate lawns. They are a status symbol that does nothing but promote a suburban style of living where everything has to be perfect and picket white fences and I'm better than you because I've made 10 trillion more dollars. It's like, okay. So I think we should bring them all down. Not very evil though, because it actually promotes biodiversity, which I think helps us in the long term. Maybe he's trying to like bring back killer weeds. Not sure though. Someone also supposedly just happened to have a giant mutagenic wasp. And I was like, that looks a little bit like my giant mutagenic wasp that I made. So he was like, no, it's not, I made it myself. So I'm like, okay. So I continued to tour around the lab. I also found the cockroach death arena. This is not made by the lab people, though. This was made by the cockroaches. They built a death arena where they all sit in like a circle and they throw in little bits of bread for other cockroaches to fight to the death about. I'm not sure whose project that is. I think it might have been the PhD student who got eaten by the other big cockroach, but who knows. So anyway, I did do a test on that giant mutagenic wasp they had, and it was in fact mine, so I called them out on that, and they kicked me out of the lab. So that's a bust, which is unfortunate, because I actually really like bugs. Next thing I tried was a jellyfish lab. Jellyfish are cool, they sting like a butterfly, they float like a butterfly, they eat like a butterfly. It's cool. So I went there, and basically it's a whole lot of, they have like big old tubes of jellyfish that they pour chemicals into to try to switch them up. One of the things I'd be doing a lot of this lab would be feeding the jellyfish with brine shrimp or sea monkeys. And it's a whole little thing. You put them in a little like, almost like boiling pot of water. It looks boiling, but it's just like swirling. Keep them all alive and healthy, and you change the water. And, you take a bunch of them out of the little, I call it the reproduction tube. You put them in the jellyfish water. And then when you're done with them, you just dump them down the sink. Which I was like, that's kind of weird. But I'm continuing to do it because I hope that the brine shrimp get into the sewer, and the ones that survive through natural selection with these like freshwater, hyper resistant to toxin sewer brine shrimp eventually grow super big, and then eat everyone. How are they going to get out of the sewer? I'm not entirely sure. But trust me, they'll eat everyone. And to help it out, next time I pour some brine shrimp down the sink, I would have put in mutagenic chemicals too. Problem is, I found someone's secret little side project. And it's an octopus. They swore to me it's a jellyfish. I don't think they know what jellyfish look like. I don't know how they got their evil PhD. They probably cheated. But I'm like, that looks a little bit like my octopus that mysteriously went missing. And so I did the same genetic test that I did on the wasp, and lo and behold, it was my octopus. Why does everyone keep stealing my biology projects? Like, just let me have something, please. I'm just trying to get through Crimson University with A's. Is it that much to ask for, guys? Like, please. Anyway, so I pointed that out, and they kicked me out of the lab again, which I think that I should be good. I should have good resume for, being a truthful, honest, evil pre-med student, but whatever. Anyway, so I was a little bit bummed out for that, so I didn't look for labs for a couple weeks after that, until my professional development brought me to a physics lab, which was not my brand of interest, because, as you know, I'm an evil biology major, not an evil physics major, but they're walking us around, they're showing us, like, their growth lasers, their strength razors, their interdimensional gun lasers, their giant magnets to take everyone's coins. Great. Now, they're showing us the death ray. Well, not really. They had us outside the room with the death ray. They're like, here's our death ray. It's very dangerous. We can't even go near the room because of how dangerous it is. And then an alarm goes off. It's like, wee wee. And we're like, what? He's like, it's probably fine. Then from inside the lab, you hear, you're like, hello? And we were like, hey, is that normal? And he's like, it's probably normal. We're leaving now. I'm like, okay, so did someone just die from the death ray, or what's happening there? So, I hope he's dead, because, as you know, I love it when people die. But, it'd be a little bit nice if it was so close to me, because I don't want to get the death ray, sand on me. That's gross. During that professional development class, we also got a list of lab opportunities. And I was looking at this one lab. It's related to, electricity and using that to power cells and about, abiogenesis. So I was looking at it. It's run by a German doctor, I think. His name is Dr. Frankenstein. And I was conversing with him, and he seemed like we were, getting along. He seemed like he was going to let me into his lab. And then his lab suddenly closed due to extenuating circumstances. I was like, that's a little bit weird. If you didn't want me, you could just say that. But I looked into it a little bit more, and his lab did not close related to the criminal charges of grave robbing, but rather because his experiment was creating a giant monster, and that giant monster came to life and killed his entire family. So he killed the monster, which I think that's a bad idea. I think you should have kept the monster alive, or at least kept it for study. That's just good science. But he closed his lab, and I'm not going to do anything about that, because what can I do? So finally, I finally get into... This is a lab I actually got in, by the way. It's an evil surgery lab. Basically, I'm shadowing an evil surgeon, Dr. Indigo Weston. Dr. Indigo Weston, she's famous for performing the first craniectomy. Now, craniectomy is where you just cut off the head, because, sometimes the head is where all the problems are. For example, sometimes you have a tumor or a bad migraine or a stupid opinion. You just gotta best just cut it off completely. So I'm in her lab, and I'm shouting her, and I'm not doing any evil surgery yet. Hopefully, I'll get to do some someday, but right now I'm just doing, all the menial little tasks, cleaning her tools. Yeah, she's evil, and she has the blood of innocence on her tools, but she's not unsanitary. She's got to clean them, and it's just better for her if I clean them instead of, having her waste her time scrubbing it all away. Another thing is that the lab is full of rats. I'm not sure where all of them came from. I think they were, the test subjects for animal testing, and they just escaped. Not sure how that happened, but now there's a whole lot of them. Now, the thing is, there's only ever one rat or 3 rats. There's never 2, and I don't know why that is, but I go around the lab and I look for a rat and I kill it. Then I look around for a little bit. If there's not a second rat, I'm like, okay, I'm good. But if I find a second rat and I kill it, I'm like, oh no, where's the third rat? Sometimes you look around for an hour for this third rat. You have to get all of them, no matter what, because if you don't, they're going to reproduce, and there's going to be like 20 the next day. It's disgusting. I like rats, but like, not in my lab, please. I also get to do water changes on the office aquarium. Now, she has 2 aquariums. She has like one that she keeps in her office and like her waiting room to be like, here's a little tank full of piranhas. And then she has a bigger aquarium where she keeps a whole lot of piranhas that are genetically modified to crave human flesh. Because normal piranhas don't crave human flesh, and they will not attack someone if you dunk them in the tank. But these piranhas, once again, taste for human flesh. So what she does is she'll dangle the heroes above the pit of piranhas, and then she'll drop them in, and the piranhas, eat them down to the bone. It's great. It's disgusting. And I hate doing water changes on that tank because blood is difficult to clean. But, you gotta do what you gotta do for your evil career. We also have jars of anti-penicillin that need to be swirled. It's very good for creating penicillin-resistant bacteria. Problem is, you need to swirl it every now and then so it doesn't like set and get grody. I also do a lot of evil cape shopping because, like I said, Dr. Indigo Weston's got a lot of the blood of innocence on her at any given time. Gets in her coats. Hard to clean. Can't exactly bring that to dry cleaning. So a lot of times it's actually cheaper and easier to just go online and order new evil capes and evil clothes. So I do that a lot. I think I have good style. She hasn't complained. I think she looks good in a totally not weird way. So she also has a lot of eyeball jars. There's no medical reason to have the eyeball jars. It's just cool. So what she'll do is she'll have a massive pile of eyeballs, and then you get to sort the eyeballs into 2 different jars, usually based on their firmness. So firm eyeballs go into the first jar, and kind of squishy eyeballs go in the second jar. You tend to put the squishy eyeballs into a smoothie and dump it to the piranha so they don't get too hungry and eat you. Now, the eyeball jars, I think they're just really cool. If you do well at the lab, you get an eyeball jar to bring home. I have an eyeball jar on my desk right now. They're all staring at me, which really shouldn't be possible, but that's not the point. She uses it like a gold star system, so if you do well in her lab, she gives you an eyeball jar. I'm the only freshman who has ever gotten an eyeball jar. It's because I suggested to her an anesthetic. Basically, instead of you get injected with it, instead of feeling less pain, you feel more pain. It's great, and she's going to test it out next week, so hopefully that goes well. But yeah, that's basically all I do. I'll keep you updated on her lab, but I'm having lots of fun in it, and I think it'll look really good on my resume for Evil Medical School. I've also started a new ecology project for biology, and it's related to crow psychology and how you can train them to bring you money. So first thing I'm doing is I'm having a bird of bag seed, a bird of bag seed, a bag of bird seed. I'm going around campus, throwing them all over the place, and eventually the crows, as well as other birds, but mainly the crows, are going to start, liking me, associating with me. And eventually they're going to start bringing me stuff. And what I'm going to do, when they bring me stuff, I'm going to give them the bread. And that's where I am at the project right now. So far, they've only brought me nuts and sticks, but eventually they're going to bring me money. And when they bring me money, that's when I have the good bread. So I'm going to give them the good bread. So ooh, when we bring the money, he gives us the good bread. So, and that's going to continue. They're going to keep bringing me money, and I'm going to keep feeding them the good bread. And eventually they'll be trained to A, associate me with food, and B, associate me with good food when they bring me money. So eventually what'll happen is they'll start pickpocketing people. Which, is it really a crime if a crow does it? You can't sue a crow. You can sue me, but you can't sue me for, just happening to pick up money off the ground. Is it morally wrong? Perhaps. But is it a crime? Legally? No. So I'm hoping that goes well. And eventually I'll have an army of crows to back me up. one of the nice things about this is that you don't need any DNA splicing, you don't need any genetic modification. This is just normal crows that are just around campus and hopefully haven't been genetically modified by other students. I think that as long as nobody puts their chemtrail project in the air, it'll be fine. But basically, I'll have a army of perfectly normal, non-genetically modified crows to back me up. As much as I do love genetically modifying organisms to be evil, it is a little bit difficult and is a little bit time-consuming, and they do tend to die, and you can't do the best science when your subjects die all the time, because what ends up happening is you write a whole, description of the subjects and all their data values, and then they die, and you're like, cool. So all this data is unusable, and you have to just delete it all, which is really frustrating. I've even in campus labs, I've had to redo an hour of work because I destroyed the data, which Sophia was not happy about, which she's rarely happy at me during labs, and I can't imagine it's related to all the times that I've exploded flask in her face or put her arm in corrosive chemicals or accidentally dropped a hot plate on her. For those of you unacquainted, a hot plate is this basically a heater that can get up to 400 degrees Celsius. And I'm hoping they can make them as hot as the surface of the sun so you can use them as a pseudo weapon when you get into an inevitable lab brawl. Because I did try to use a hot plate as a weapon during the lab brawl that happened during my intro to mad chemistry lab, and let's just say I'm the other guy. You know when people say, oh, you look bad, oh, you should have seen the other guy. I'm the other guy. I have burns all over me, and I did not go to the medical center this time because, once again, I finally learned my lesson to stop going to the malpractice majors, and I just took an ice bath. Very hard to find. It was a dry ice bath, by the way, which did burn my skin more, which I'm not happy about. But I'm going to be fine, don't you worry, and it's why you have to do lab safety. Actually, don't do lab safety. I love it when people get hurt during labs. So yeah, that's mostly what's been happening in my life last bit. I have a couple midterms coming up. Hopefully I do well in those. And obviously I'm going to keep doing my Mathias 3 project, which is going well. It's starting to bud a bit. Hopefully it will start, talking soon. But like I said, you can't rush your final project. But other than that, I think that's pretty much all we need to talk about. So I hope you have a great week, my evil, evil minions. Go out there, keep being evil, and make sure, if you're going to destroy the world, at least get some money out of it. Bye, y'all!